Hey guys, how are you? Happy Saturday. Welcome. My name is Melissa Rosella from Inside Out Institute. And I just welcome each and every one of you on this beautiful Saturday morning. I have a very special guest today, my life coach, Michael D. Goodman. He's joining us. And I'm just so thankful you guys are all here. So thank you so much. Michael, can you share a little bit about yourself?
Well, absolutely. I'm in my hometown of Phoenix, Arizona right now. I've been here all of my life. I have been involved in sales and business for the last 40 plus years. I'm not going to tell you how many pluses are in that plus, but 40 plus years. And in my world, it's a joy and a pleasure to make a difference in people's lives on a regular basis.
Wow, that's awesome. You've made a huge difference in my life and my husband's life. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate it.
I am honored you to allow me into your lives, and thank you.
Oh, thank you. So your coaching business is multifaceted.
Yes.
Sales coach, life coach. I mean, I feel like you're kind of the all-encompassing coach. I feel like you have so many different moving parts going on. And just curious about how do you help people become more successful in whatever they're doing, as far as even in sales or just in their life in general?
There's some powerful coaching constructs that I've picked up along the way. And one of them is that most all people have what they want to do in their lives already within them.
Oh.
And so it's not so much my job to give them what they want to do, but help them uncover it. And along the way, we find the obstacles that they've created in their own lives to stop them from even knowing what that is. If you ask 90% of the people, they can't really tell you what their life purpose is.
Yeah.
It's there and it's within them, and they can't touch it because there's this blind spot that they deal with. It's not a big deal. You just uncover the blind spot, and all of a sudden, life pops out.
I so agree with that. It sounds a lot like the coaching that I'm getting in Inside Out also with Todd Cahill. I mean, he always talks about, the subconscious and the conscious, feeding both of those. And the answers are within you. Your job is basically just to figure out how to, like you said, uncover what is not seen, what you're not seeing, and help you reach your own answers, right?
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I love your concept of everyone is a five. I remember a time when I was struggling. One of our sessions, I woke up with a huge breakout on my face, and I've struggled with acne my whole life. And I remember kind of meeting up with you, and you were like, "You don't seem like you're okay. What's going on?" And I said, I'm insecure about my breakouts. I feel less than. I feel like it's all people see. And you started talking about this concept of everybody's a five. Can you explain that?
Sure. And I thank you for asking. This is one of my favorites. So here's the thing. In the world of coaching, in the world of people, one of the big obstacles we have is being responsible or being not good enough to someone or someone else, something. And it's really just a concept we've created in our own head. And so for me, selling to authority figures, when I was first in the world of sales, selling to authority figures was really scary because they were bigger and badder and more important than me. And what I got to was that they're just humans. They're people who put their pants on one leg at a time. They're nothing. And I love Brene Brown's story. She was getting ready to go speak to a big group of people, of important people, and she was freaking out. And she came up with this concept. So it's called people, people, people. And we're all people. And everybody's a five is simply on a scale of 1 to 10. And this is kind of a key thing. On a scale of 1 to 10, if everybody were a five, the person who intimidates you, the scenario that intimidates you, if everybody was a five and you got that and chose to embed that, then that other person you were talking to was no greater or no lesser than you. And nothing you did could make yourself lesser. So, if you tripped over yourself as you were walking in the meeting, you're still a five. If you said the most brilliant thing in the world, it doesn't make you any better than that other person. You're a five and they're a five. And it puts us on an equal playing field to feel comfortable and safe and capable of dealing with them one-on-one accurately or effectively.
I just love that. I remember leaving our meeting and it was like my shoulders like settled. because it's like I'd never even thought about that concept of everyone just being the same, no matter what. I love that. Thank you so much for that lesson.
No, it was
brilliant. It's amazing. It's so powerful.
And simple.
Yeah. So how do you define success?
So the best definition of success I've ever heard came when I was on a trip with my dad to the Hebrew University in Mount Scopus, Jerusalem.
Wow.
And they were talking about a guy named Marc Chagall, who is he's world famous sculptor, artist, and stained glass artist. And he had donated stained glass on the walls in this room we were in. And they said that somebody had asked Marc Chagall how he had known he had made it as an artist.
Oh, wow.
And his response was the best answer I've ever heard. He said, when what I felt here is what came out on the walls, what came out on my canvas and my glass, when what I felt in my heart is what showed up in the world, that's when I knew I had made it.
That is so amazing.
Isn't that a great answer?
Yeah, it almost brings tears to my eyes because that is when you're living out your purpose, right?
Yeah.
You're living out your purpose, and it doesn't even feel like work. It's just you're living out what you're meant to do, doing what you're designed to do, and it's just a beautiful feeling. And that's such an incredible story. I love that.
Yeah, thank you. I love it.
So many people have so many different definitions of success, and I'm just curious. So you have an interesting perspective about judgment. I actually, from our last session on Tuesday, that session was powerful. Yeah. I walked away with some profound lessons. Can you explain your view of judgment and what that means when you judge other people?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a moment to set this up. So, okay, and I think that there's a particular place you're really reaching for. So I'm going to try and set this up.
Okay.
In my world and in my coaching, the binary code of all human actions come from always moving towards a feeling of being loved or lovable, and always away from the fear of loss of love or lovability, right? Yeah. And that's the binary code of every human. And if that's the case, and we do something we're not proud of, then were we moving towards a feeling of being loved or away from the fear of loss of love? And how did that work? What drives those awarenesses of what we're doing are the filters we carry in our head. Is how do we see that, right? And so when I look at someone and think they're not good enough for whatever reason, they're doing bad, they're wrong, they shouldn't be doing that. What I'm doing is expressing a filter that I chose to believe at some point in my head. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so anytime anybody judges anybody else for any reason whatsoever, it starts as a judgment of themselves in their own head that they are putting onto somebody else for whatever reason.
Yes.
And it doesn't exist. It was a creation of themselves at some point in their life, and they created a story, they live by it, and now they're pushing that on the world.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't exist. It was ontological. It was just merely the words that they chose to accept as truth at that point.
Yes.
And so no matter how much we believe it or how much we think we have proof for it, if I say that someone is wrong or bad, what I am telling them is, this is what I believe about me. Okay.
So essentially it's a mirror.
Yes. Yes. It's one of the foundations of psychology and counseling in that when you feel bad about a relationship, when you want to make somebody wrong, it's really not about them. It's about who you being.
The accountability mirror. I love David Goggins talks about the accountability mirror, being 100% accountable for your actions and everything that you say and taking responsibility.
Yes.
So is the opposite true? If you accept another person,
there you go.
If you move towards acceptance, right? You replace that judgment with acceptance, which is something I'm really working on right now.
Yes.
Is it true for acceptance? The more that you learn to accept other people, the more that you are actually accepting yourself.
It can't not be. It must be that way.
Okay.
The more judgment you give up, the more filters you are diminishing or dispersing in your head, the more people just get to be who they are, and they're fine, and you're fine, and you get to be a 5. simply because you chose it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It's really easy.
Yeah. And I absolutely love something else that you've taught me when you say that we're all good enough. And you ask these questions, you know, do you have skin? Do you bleed blood? And do you breathe oxygen?
Yes.
And I say yes. And you say, well, you're good enough. So
Right?
I love that about you, that you taught me that. It's such a powerful lesson.
Thank you.
You rock.
You rock.
Thanks.
You're doing neat. What else would you like to talk about?
So tell me about what is integrity? You have an interesting view of integrity. And I also want to make sure that you mention, if you're late to one of our meetings, what you have to do. So
Well,
you have to mention that. You have to mention that.
Okay. So most of the time when you use the word integrity, it's a reference to a moral imperative. You're out of integrity, you're not good enough. But really, if you look at it, there's two definitions in the dictionary, and one of them references whole and complete. And integrity, from a coaching perspective, from a life perspective, means I am consistent with the word that I gave. Okay, that's it. The two things that I do at the front of almost every coaching client relationship is deal with integrity as a major component and deal with working on our calendar and being in integrity with our calendar. And I know Todd Cahill is very serious about that as well. Yeah. And I think it's critical. Okay, so for me, integrity means if I keep my word, then you can trust me. And anything I want to do for myself and my life comes from working with other people. And if I'm in integrity, I'm safe to work with because you can trust me. And I build a stronger, deeper relationship. It's powerful, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If I am late and I need to restore my integrity with you, I have taken this thing with my clients. I've taken this thing with my clients and say, listen, I was late. I'll take responsibility and ownership for it. And then I will tell you after the second time that I will give you $5, not because I think $5 are going to change your life, but for me, it's enough of a reminder that being on time is important to me and to you. So to both you and your husband, I have doled out $5 bills multiple times. Not proud of that I've done it, but I'm glad I've done it.
I love that. I even said that to my kids. I knew we were meeting up once and I knew I was going to be late. I said, oh man, I've got to give my coach $5. And they looked at me like I was crazy. And they were like, what do you mean? And I said, well, I'm going to be late. I have to show accountability. I said I would be on time.
Yes.
And if I'm not, I give Michael $5. Now my husband has a different agreement with you where he has to do something, I think burpees or something if he's late.
So there's a couple of things around this. Number one, if it's $5, it's because the person who is out of integrity agreed to do that thing, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So they have to agree to whatever. Yeah. It's about request and agreement, right?
It's their responsibility to take on whatever it takes to keep from repeating that behavior. Right. And if somebody repeats behavior that is out of integrity, sometimes they'll ask them to create a list of escalating consequences.
Oh.
Okay. So the first time it might be do the dishes at home. The 31st time, it might be to run a marathon, even if they've never run before.
Oh, my.
And the idea is to get there to a point where they'll never want to get to that level. Yeah. So they will do what they said they would do, and they don't have to deal with the consequence.
Got it. Okay. That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
That's so amazing.
I've had people put on their consequence list coming to do my laundry.
Oh, my gosh.
Right? I don't think I want them doing my laundry.
No. So do you believe in good and bad?
Well, in a context, yes. Remember that the whole thing about judgment, good and bad, is a judgment. However, when it's in a context of a particular outcome, something is good for the outcome or something is bad for the outcome, I just don't use those words. I like workable. That's workable. That's not workable.
Right.
Okay. Because I'm working on, not always good at it, working on removing judgment from my own world to get those out. So in relation to a context or a particular goal or something, those words make sense. But if you're doing it as you're good, and there's no comparison of what good is, then it's meaningless language.
I want to be in integrity with you. by the
Yes.
way.
Yes.
So we're heading towards 15 minutes, and I gave you a time frame of 15 to 20. Are you okay with going a little bit longer than 15?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I want to make sure we're in agreement there. I don't want to take too much of your time.
Okay.
So I love Brene Brown. You and I share that love for her and her teachings. And something that I love about her is that she says guilt is I did something bad. Shame is I am bad. You know? So the difference between, if my kids are playing and they make a mess and I say, you guys are so messy, or you guys made a mess, right? The distinction between the two of those is profound, right?
And it's the way they hear and process it about themselves.
Right.
The stories they create about themselves from what you've said.
Right.
Right. Yes.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So I am becoming a transformational leadership coach. I am living out my purpose and passion. I am so excited through Inside Out Coaching. And I just want to know, I feel like you're so wise I just think you're so wise and amazing. And I'd love to hear some advice on how I can be the best coach possible, through being a transformational leadership coach. What are your gold nuggets as far as what are your little pieces of advice that you could give me on how to be the best I can be for my clients?
How much time do we have?
Give me
2 minutes. Okay. Here's the big thing. It's about listening. The biggest thing that you can ever do is learn how to listen. Everybody you've ever respected in your entire life, whether it was George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, your dad, or somebody, you respected, you appreciated them because they were others focused. And when you're a coach, you are an other focused person in that moment. And they feel heard. And when they feel that you've listened to them, it creates a safety place for them to talk to you.
Yes.
Okay? And I want to define listening beyond just being able to repeat back the words that they said. If you can repeat back the words that they said and repeat back what they were thinking about as they were saying them, and repeat back how they were feeling when they were saying those words, then they've been heard. Does it make sense? But it comes from listening from the heart, and it comes from listening at depth. And when you do it that way, then whatever answer you give is going to come from your heart, and it's going to be on target.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then you also have said to me that when you're coaching clients, the focus is about the client, right?
Oh.
It's not about you, taking things personally, or it's all about being of service to the client and client focused. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And there's more to it than just the face of what you said. When a client is resisting because they're pushing into new territory that scares them, they will often lash out in ways that are not comfortable and attack the coach. And if I take that personally, then I've lost the chance to help them move through what scares them.
Okay.
Coaching is never about me. It's always about them and helping them move from where they are to where they want to be. Absolutely. So if I feel attacked, I am, but it's not me. It's okay. It's my job to help them get where they're going.
Absolutely. It's just growth, right? You're growing. Yeah. Absolutely. So I've loved this time with you, as I love all my time with you every week.
I was going to say that to you. Well done.
I just love my time with you. I've learned so much from you. You've helped me grow so much. Between you and Todd, I feel like I'm really living my best life right now. I just feel so amazing. How do we find you on Facebook or LinkedIn? Where can we go to find more information about you?
I'm pretty easy. There's a few sources I'm going to give you, but before I do that, I need to say this. I am so proud of where you've gotten to in your world since the time I have known you. I am so proud of your growth, who you are, and how you choose to put your heart and your soul into the work you're doing. And the work with Todd was not a cakewalk. And you stepped through every hurdle and every obstacle, not always with joy, but with certainty that who you choose to be on the backside is far more important than whatever you have to go through yourself. And I don't know if people get this, but they will be lucky to have you as their coach, because the person they get will be a person who's worked hard to be effective at coaching.
Thank you. You're going to make me cry.
Good. Then I'm doing my job. Okay. So well done, and I'm proud of you. If you want to find me, I'm easy to find on Facebook. The best place to find me is LinkedIn, and I'm Michael D. Goodman, just like it says at the bottom of below my face there, Michael D. Goodman, right? Michael D. Goodman at gmail.com is the easiest email to find me. My website is revenuekinetics.com, but the one I really like is I have a personal website called, go figure, michaeldgoodman.com. You can find me through any of those ways, and I'd love to see you out there.
I love it. Thank you so much, Michael, for spending time with me today. And to everybody viewing this, thank you so much. And if you're on the replay, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be with us. And we just hope you have an amazing day. Michael, thank you so much.
A pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful day today.
You too. Be well.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.